There are moments in life when the soul crosses a threshold, an invisible point of no return, where nothing remains the same. It's not a loud or dramatic shift, but a silent, irreversible transformation that changes everything. This crossing marks the beginning of a new path, one that is rich with awareness and a profound awakening. To recognize that you've crossed that threshold is an act of courage and truth, because it means accepting that your life has changed forever. The first sign appears when you realize you can no longer live the way you used to. The old habits, beliefs, and patterns that once held you together begin to lose their meaning. As Carl Jung would say, this moment is part of the process of individuation, the moment when the soul begins to separate from the shadows of the past and emerge into its true essence. You no longer feel satisfied with superficial answers or surface-level experiences. That internal discomfort, that feeling that something is missing, is the first real indication that you've crossed the threshold. It's a deep inner calling that resonates in every fiber of your being. You start to feel disillusioned with what once gave you comfort, as if the structures that once provided safety now feel like cages. The spiritual threshold you've crossed begins to push you toward a life of deeper meaning and authenticity, even if it means walking into the unknown. This transformation isn't just mental, it's vibrational. Your energy no longer aligns with the things that used to feel normal. A space opens up within you, inviting you to let go of what no longer serves your growth and expansion. Carl Jung emphasized that separating from the shadow is essential to the birth of the true self. And although that process can be painful, it's also liberating and necessary. You begin to notice that what used to matter now holds less weight, and new values start rising from within you. Values that are more aligned with your soul's essence. It often feels like a symbolic death and rebirth. Something old must die, so that something new and more authentic can be born. Once you've crossed this irreversible threshold, every step forward becomes an opportunity to grow, to learn, to evolve. There's no turning back, because your soul has awakened to a new level of consciousness. The search for truth is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. It becomes the compass that guides your every decision and movement. This inability to return to who you once were becomes a kind of anchor, keeping you grounded in your transformation. Each day, the old structures of identity begin to crumble, and in their place, a more authentic and aligned self begins to emerge. Yes, it's unsettling to break away from the familiar, but that's the sacred cost of attaining inner freedom. This shift penetrates not only your thoughts, but your body, your heart, and your spirit. Your body senses the change as a different vibration, a higher frequency that starts rejecting anything that no longer aligns with your evolution. Your heart begins to open to more meaningful experiences, and your spirit awakens to a wisdom that transcends logic and language. This integration is the true marker of a crossed spiritual threshold. What makes this crossing irreversible is that your soul has expanded, and that expansion cannot be undone. Processes have been activated within you that work on both conscious and unconscious levels, forever altering the way you perceive yourself and the world. Even when challenges arise, you're no longer willing to look away from the inner calling that guides your path. Your choices now reflect a deep alignment with values that were once buried or suppressed. Life begins to reveal itself with greater clarity, and although the road ahead is uncertain, there's a quiet confidence inside you that sustains each step. there's a growing certainty that this journey is not only real, it's necessary. The threshold you crossed is a portal into a fuller, more meaningful life. This awakening transforms everything, including your relationships and surroundings. What once resonated begins to fade, and in its place, new, more authentic connections emerge. Your energy changes. It becomes more refined, more radiant, and it attracts people and experiences that mirror this new version of you. The threshold is not just an internal experience. It begins to reshape your outer reality. What follows is a continuous invitation to dive deeper into self-awareness, to keep peeling away layers, and to discover the essential truth that has always lived inside you. It becomes a journey of continuous integration, where both shadow and light coexist in harmony. This balance allows your soul to shine in its full brilliance. You begin living a life where every moment is intentional, where presence is sacred, and where your connection to universal wisdom is renewed. You've crossed a point of no return, and in that surrender lies the beauty and power of your spiritual awakening. That irreversible crossing marks the beginning of a deep metamorphosis, one that reshapes every cell in your being. You no longer cling to fleeting certainties or the false securities that once defined your path. Instead, you embrace uncertainty as an open door to expansion and genuine growth. This awakening drives you to live with a new intensity, where even the most difficult experiences are seen as sacred opportunities to evolve. The awareness that comes after crossing that threshold is not static. It flows, it breathes, it constantly invites renewal. The old wounds become quiet teachers. The shadows you once feared now at a depth you never knew you were capable of. Carl Jung reminds us that individuation is a never-ending journey, a constant movement toward wholeness and authenticity. This irreversible transformation also connects you to broader dimensions of existence. You begin to sense a resonance with universal energies, a deep intuitive understanding that your life is part of something much greater than yourself. This connection strengthens your sense of purpose. It influences your decisions in a way that reflects the purest truth of your soul. In this new state, patience and self-compassion become essential. You understand that your journey is deeply personal and that every step, no matter how unsure or lonely it may feel, is valuable. Trust in the process sustains you. You know the threshold was never a barrier. It was a doorway to a more conscious life. Yes, this point of no return is, in fact, a new beginning. A beginning where authenticity, inner wisdom, and light unite to guide every movement, every thought, every breath. You've entered a sacred space where transformation is no longer optional. It's inevitable. And in that inevitability lies your true freedom. The second sign is when you begin to feel a much deeper connection with your intuition, and with it, a growing clarity in the decisions you make. It's not that the external world has become less chaotic, but rather, your inner world has begun to radiate a wisdom that surpasses confusion. You no longer doubt yourself as much as you once did, because a quiet, unwavering voice within you starts to guide your choices with conviction, like the echo of an ancient truth rising from the core of your being. Carl Jung understood this as a crucial part of the individuation process, that sacred journey toward becoming your true, whole self. It's when the unconscious begins to reveal its wisdom in your waking life, gently pointing you toward alignment and meaning. You feel this guidance not in grand revelations, but in the subtleties, in the calm certainty that washes over you before making a difficult decision. in the way your body relaxes when you choose what feels right, even if it defies logic. This is a sign that you've crossed a spiritual threshold and that your life is beginning to align more deeply with your essence and your higher purpose. The clarity you now experience within is not a random occurrence. It is the product of a profound awakening that bridges your conscious mind with the rich, intuitive depths of your unconscious. This inner voice, though quiet and often subtle, acts as a beacon. It shines through the fog of uncertainty and lights up the path that's meant for you. You no longer get lost in mental spirals or paralyzed by fear. Instead, you move forward with a grounded confidence that only comes from being in tune with your true self. This intuitive awakening enables you to notice signs and synchronicities that previously went unnoticed. Those moments when the universe seems to whisper, "You're on the right track." Life begins to speak to you in a clearer, more direct language, and you, in turn, learn to listen, not with your intellect, but with your heart wide open. You start trusting that each step you take is guided by a higher intelligence that sees farther than you can. Carl Jung described this as the emergence of archetypal wisdom, the timeless knowledge stored within the collective unconscious. This wisdom becomes accessible to those who dare to listen, to those who are willing to pause and truly connect with what lies beneath the surface. The trust that arises from this connection also begins to transform the way you face challenges and make decisions. You stop chasing answers in the outside world or relying solely on cold logic. Instead, you begin to act from a space of internal certainty and intuitive alignment. This inner shift elevates your frequency and propels you forward toward the destiny your soul came here to fulfill. In this process, intuition becomes your steady and loyal companion. It becomes a compass that guides you through the storms, a reminder of who you truly are, even when everything around you feels uncertain. The clarity that emerges from this signal is not just comforting. It's a confirmation that the spiritual threshold you've crossed is real, and that it's leading you toward higher levels of consciousness and personal fulfillment. This awakening of intuition doesn't just change how you perceive the world. It also redefines your relationship with yourself and with life itself. You begin to feel a deeper connection forming between your mind, your heart, and your soul. These aspects of yourself, once fragmented or at odds, now move together in a harmonious flow that guides every decision and every action with a clarity that once seemed out of reach. That inner voice you now hear more frequently and trust more fully becomes a bridge between the visible and the invisible, between your conscious awareness and the vast landscape of your unconscious mind. Jung referred to this bridge as the meeting with archetypes, those universal energies that offer wisdom, strength, and guidance to your personal journey. They are not abstract ideas. They are living symbols that awaken within you, offering direction and resonance as you navigate your path. As you open yourself to this inner flow, you begin to receive messages that don't just inform you, they inspire and empower you. This renewed intuition shields you from paths that are not aligned with your truth, and it gently steers you toward those that nourish your spirit. This inner guidance is a clear manifestation that the threshold you crossed is deep and transformative, and that you are now moving toward a life where your inner and outer worlds are increasingly in harmony. In this state of being, your self-trust grows naturally, and with it, your ability to live with authenticity and full presence. You no longer seek validation from others to confirm your choices. You stand in the knowing that each step is part of a larger divine design, one that your soul not only understands, but embraces fully. This awakening is a call to listen more deeply, to trust more profoundly, and to allow that inner voice to lead you toward the fulfillment of your highest purpose. It confirms that the spiritual threshold you've crossed has opened the path to a life that is more aligned, more conscious, and vibrating at a higher frequency than ever before. The third sign appears when you begin to feel a profound sense of detachment from situations, people, or beliefs that once held you tightly. You no longer feel the urgent need to control or possess anything. Instead, you allow life to unfold naturally, trusting its rhythm and wisdom. Carl Jung noted that conscious detachment is a clear sign of spiritual maturity and the crossing of a vital threshold, as it frees you from the burdens that once held back the soul's expansion. This sign reveals that you've started to live from a lighter, freer vibration, one that aligns deeply with your inner truth. The sensation of deep detachment is not abandonment. It is a conscious act of release that redefines how you relate to the world and to yourself. You no longer feel trapped by the compulsion to control every part of your life or to cling to people, ideas, or circumstances that no longer resonate with your essence. Instead, you let everything flow in its own time and space, trusting that the universe moves in your favor, even through uncertainty. This detachment is not indifference, but rather a mature